Okay. Senator Ojikalu, you have the floor. Move the motion for your bill to be debated.
There's noise at the back.
Order, please. Order, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I seek to lead the debate on the establishment of social welfare service to reduce the extreme poverty among vulnerable groups and implement social protection systems and measures in Nigeria and matters related 2025. Mr. President, I seek your permission to continue with this bill. I seek your permission.
Proceed.
Distinguished colleagues, this bill seeks to confront one of the most present national challenges, extreme poverty. Despite various interventions over the years, millions of Nigerians still lack access to basic necessities. What have been missing in a centralized, coordinated, and data-driven institution to manage social welfare programs effectively. This bill provides exactly that. It proposes the establishment of social welfare service as a department under the ministry responsible for humanitarian affairs with branches in all the 36 states and FCT. This ensures that social protection programs are not just Abuja-centered, but reach communities nationwide. The service will be responsible for designing, implementing welfare programs, including food transfers, cash transfers, education stipends, housing support, subsidies for marginal farmers, credit schemes, allowances for elderly and persons with disability. It will also develop targeting mechanisms to ensure that only genuine vulnerable households benefit from it. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, a key innovation on this bill is the creation of safety centers across the Federation, serving as operational hubs for identifying beneficiaries, delivering support, and monitoring outcomes. This bill mandates the maintenance of a register of beneficiaries and graduates, ensuring transparency and helping track the long-term impact on the programs. The bill clearly outlines eligibility criteria, such as households earning below 5,000 monthly, day laborers earning below 3,000 per job, low-income artisans, subsistence farmers, and residents of slums. This will help to eliminate political influence or arbitrary selection. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the administrative structure is also defined. The minister should appoint a coordinator within at least 15 years of experience in social welfare practice and proven integrity, supported by staff from ministries and civil service. This ensures professionalism and capacity. Distinguished colleagues, this bill represents a bold step towards building a modern, transparent, and sustainable social protection system. It aligns with global best and gives Nigerians a stronger institutional foundation for poverty reduction. I therefore urge my distinguished colleagues to give full support to this bill in the interest of national stability, social justice, and human dignity. Mr. President, I raise my case and allow you to handle the chambers and leave Alaye Oguta Lagos to come and have his seat and support the bill.
Senator Ademalero.
Distinguished colleagues, Mohammed Adamu Alero is my name. Mr. President, I rise to second the second reading of this very important bill, heavily sponsored by my good friend and brother, Senator Ojo Uzokalu. And let me commend him for coming up with this very revolutionary bill. In the past, several measures have been taken to alleviate poverty. But unfortunately, such measures have not yielded the required result. I could recall we have National Poverty Eradication Program, Nigeria Investment Poverty Reduction Program. We had Ministry of Trade and Investment sending out handouts to several Nigerians. So all this uncoordinated approach, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, have not yielded the required result, as I said. To the extent that we have well over 70% of our population under extreme poverty. In fact, Nigeria has even been described as the capital of poverty in the whole world. The situation, Mr. President, distinguished colleague, is alarming. And that's why this bill is very timely and apt. And I want all my colleagues to support it, because the 10th Senate will write its name in gold if we come out with a very strong legislation that will reduce extreme poverty in Nigeria, particularly in rural areas where people cannot get even 2 square meals a day. In fact, even a meal a day is difficult in some communities. So that's why all of us should support this bill. By so doing, we will reduce poverty to the barest minimum. I so support, Mr. President. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, distinguished colleague, I'm Senator Lola Ashiru, Deputy Leader of the Senate. Your Excellency, if I should understand the essence of this bill, I will want to say with all sense of responsibility that we should quickly go into the second reading, because there's still a lot of work to be done on it. And I think the essence of it is a good classification, data collection, data analysis, and a scientific way of approaching all the assistance and social welfare services this government and other governments have been doing over a very long time. I agree in totality that whatever we do in Nigeria should be based on a very good data and organization. There are some statistics that are extremely pathetic that I'm reading from this submission, especially when the proponent of the bill wrote that there are some families that are earning below 5,000 monthly. I don't know whether we call that one subsistence level or we call it poverty level. Definitely it's very, very far from low poverty level. Neither is it close to a subsistence level. The advice is that side by side with this bill, we should look at how Nigeria should work harder, how Nigeria should work more, how Nigeria should do everything possible to contribute to the productivity of the whole Nigeria. While I stand firmly to support this bill, I pray that the President of the Senate should quickly approve it for second reading.
The Chief Whip. Sorry.
Mr. President, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Well, I am supporting this bill sponsored by my elder brother and a colleague in the House of Representatives as far back as 1992, though I am not a class of 1999. I'm not a class of 1999. I'm class of 1992. So, Mr. President, distinguished senators, this bill is very, very apt and germane, especially against the backdrop of the report of the World Bank that place about 60% of Nigerians living beyond 70% of Nigerians living beyond poverty line. So what this bill seeks to do is to, by way of scientifically driven data, get data of Nigerians that are living beyond poverty line, and then devise ways and means of bringing them out of poverty, just like what China did in the early 80s, when there is mass poverty in China. China came out with a similar data-driven approach and then engaged majority of its people in agriculture, thereby bringing out majority of its people out of poverty. So what this bill essentially seeks to do that, a department in the ministry that is given the legal mandate to get the data and then devise ways and means of bringing Nigerians out of poverty. Thank you.
Senator Solomon, distinguished colleague, Adeola Solomon Olamilekon, representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate of the Federal Republic. Mr. President, let me start by commending the mover of this bill. I want to say it is timely, and the intent and purpose of moving this kind of bill at this point in time is genuine, because you will recollect that successive administration have done so much in the area of social intervention. But this, as much as we try, there is no proper coordination. Sometimes some of these social intervention don't get to required destination or the set target because of lack of proper coordination. What this bill tends to achieve, among other things, is to ensure for proper coordination of our social intervention by setting up this social welfare service and to be domiciled in the humanitarian ministry. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, it is clear that the key innovation of this bill is to creation of safety centers across the Federation, serving as an operational hub for identifying beneficiaries. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, you will quite agree with me that we don't have these kind of safety centers anywhere. At any time when government wants to do any social intervention, the next thing is bring names and their phone numbers and their this, and before you know it, they will come around and say, yes, they've done the social intervention. And there will be argument. No, who do you empower in my area? Who do you give this social intervention to in my locality? But with the creation of this bill, creating a safety centers across the federation, it will address these once and for all. And it is to this extent, Mr. President, I'm supporting this bill wholeheartedly and asking my colleague to let us give it expeditious passage so that we can at least modernize, structure our social service welfare, which is to be domiciled in the humanitarian, and they will have offices across the 36 states of the Federation. I commend the mover once again, and I say this is the right step in the right direction. I so submit, Mr. President.
Now, okay,
how important it is to lift the poor out of poverty. Without repeating what the previous speakers have said, I will just simply point out that this bill, one major thing that we are going to achieve is to ensure transparency in the programs of government in terms of poverty eradication, transparency and confidence on the people. One thing for sure is that previous programs, even those that were done last year, people didn't even believe conditional cash transfer. A lot of people still today never believe anybody got that money because we don't have a coordinated system where it can be checked who actually got this and who didn't get that. And above all, elimination of corruption. The controversy that are involved in programs of poverty eradication will be completely eliminated if the bill is passed. Without speaking so much, Mr. President, I so submit and I support the second reading of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Also, East. My support to this bill is even almost more 100%, more than 100% because I'm a rural man. 100%. Only 100%. Anything you want to do without carrying rural population with you is a failure. Because most of these people are so poor, and they are more than 70% of all of us. Few of us that are lucky, we are here to decide on their fate. But if this social welfare bill is in place, that includes the governors and the local government, it will work so perfectly. What we have been doing in the past, the Senate, the House of Rep, they do the governors alone on their own. But if they are inconcatenated, everybody is in the same place, you will see that the federal government hope of getting to the root of these poverty-striking people, it will be over very soon. Whatever we do now, without taking them into this bill, and the bill is working on all of us, making it compulsory that we have to bring these people up from this level of poverty up, then we are in trouble. If we can bring them up, automatically Nigeria will be safe. Without that, unless
Thank you,
I support my friend,
Senator Fadahunsi.
And God bless.
Well, I don't think we need more debate on this. Please, let's have 1 minute because welfare initiatives are being introduced by the government and they are ongoing. So we have to understand that. It's only for us to probably a kind of commend the government and probably add that they should be a kind of strengthened. Otherwise, we have them on ground. You know, Senator San, he knows, Chairman of Finance Committee, he knows.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish also to stand and commend the sponsor of this bill, my elder brother, Excellency Uzo Kalu. The importance of this bill is that we will have data. And data is one of the most important aspects of the statistics that we always produce when we are giving our economic activities, economic index. So if we bring all the social interventions that the government is doing under one umbrella, and the Ministry of Humanitarian will be able to acquire those data and will be able to get exactly the number and the percentage of the vulnerable Nigerians that need this help. Because previously, when we take facilities from World Bank to support such interventions, most of these funds don't get to the vulnerables. It ends up somewhere. But where there is a statistical data which is aligned with our national identity and also the bank, synergize with the banks, it will be easier for these vulnerable people to be supported. So I support this bill, and I believe that we'll pass this bill to the
Senator Adam Oshomole.
One of our ancestors, Senator Kalu, for this bill. I think, like you have said, Mr. President, our government has had approached over the years social security on ad hoc basis. And like you also said, billions of naira have been sunk. But this money has been sunk into the pockets of those who are supposed to administer them. There is no better scandal I can remember more than when the Nigerian government decided that all primary schools should be closed. And yet, in the name of feeding the children of the poor, a minister of that time claimed to be spending money to be feeding children who were at home when schools were closed. But because there is no law, it was just based on individuals' whims and caprices. I think this is more a structured approach that will allow for more accountability, and data should be verifiable, testable, and you can cross-check. And the money is not given to people who we define the poor as meaning their own pocket. I think for me it's good. The only thing that we must agree, even at this stage, is that there's a lot of job to be done, even to define who is poor, not as it's defined here, 5,000 a month. No. I think the issues are not exactly like that. But it does point to the fact that there are Nigerians who are totally, socially, and economically excluded. And we need to bring them on board. It's also part of the tools we need to create stability. That is the way the capitalists has managed to confuse the poor and create a stable society by saying if you are a victim of the market, then you fall on the social safety net. I think it is good, and there is no point saying we are not yet wrapped. No tree can be wrapped until it is planted. So let us plant it now in the 10th Assembly, and prayerfully over time it can benefit from amendment and re-amendment until we have an elegant arrangement that is foul-proof. For now, I think it is worthwhile, even for the optics, that will pass this into law, and that this second reading goes through with all senators buying into it. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me just 1 minute.
Please, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate. A bill for act to establish social welfare service to reduce extreme poverty among other vulnerable groups and implement social protection system and measures in Nigeria and for related matters 2025 SB 4T, second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Public Service Matters to report back within 4 weeks. Let me commend Senator Orji Kalu for bringing forward this bill. It's a bill that will further strengthen the system in respect to social welfare has been implemented now in the country because the government is doing very well. The president is doing very well. He should be commended for several social welfare initiatives that have been run in this country to help the poorest of the poor, so as to bring financial inclusion to all and sundry. to help those who need help. That has been implemented. Several programs have been implemented. And as we speak, I know a very big, there's a preparation in respect to a very big program that will bring succor to our people at the world levels, the world level where a lot will benefit from that program. I know very soon we shall hear from the president, in respect of this program. It will turn around the entire country in terms of bringing succor to those that are poor in our society, particularly at the world level. So we commend you and also commend the president for what he's doing in respect to this kind of arrangement. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the third order of the bill will be read the second time.
Represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to move the motion to lead the debate on the births, deaths, and etc. Compulsory Registration Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2025, SB 913. Mr. President, do I proceed to lead debate?
You may proceed.
Okay, thank you.
You may proceed. Proceed, please. You don't need a seconder in this kind of motion. Once you want the motion, then you proceed.
Just for courtesy.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Take your permission to go on. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. It is my privilege to lead the debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to repeal the births, deaths, and so on and so forth, Compulsory Registration Act, Cap B9, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and to reenact the births, deaths, and so on and so forth, Compulsory Registration Bill 2025, to provide for an electronic civil registration and vital statistics system and or related matters. This bill was read for the first time on the floor of the Senate on Wednesday, 15th October 2025. Distinguished colleagues, the current law governing the registration of births and deaths in Nigeria, the Births, Deaths, and etc. Compulsory Registration Act, Cap B9, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, is a colonial era legislation that has become obsolete and grossly inadequate for our present realities. Despite being over 6 decades old in its core structure, the law still relies on manual record keeping and outdated administrative procedures. This has resulted in weak data capture, inefficiency, duplication of efforts, and lack of reliable national statistics on vital events such as births, deaths, marriages, and adoptions. In a digital age where data drives governance, planning, and service delivery, Nigeria cannot continue to rely on paper-based systems for vital registration. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Nigeria's civil registration system faces multiple challenges, including low registration coverage, less than 60% of births, and under 20% of deaths are officially registered. Manual record keeping that is prone to loss, forgery, and inaccuracies are part of the problem. Fragmented institutional responsibilities between local governments, registrars, hospitals, and the National Population Commission. Lack of integration with the National Identity Management System, NIMSI, health records or census data, and limited accessibility of vital records to citizens, especially in rural areas. The result is that Nigeria lacks a reliable, up-to-date national database of vital statistics which affects policy planning in health, education, security, and social welfare. This bill seeks to modernize Nigeria's civil registration framework by introducing the Electronic Civil Registration and Vital Statistics, CRVS system. Specifically, the bill aims to, among other things, repeal the outdated births and deaths and the Etc. Compulsory Registration Act, establish a comprehensive real-time electronic platform for the registration of all vital events, births, deaths, marriages, divorces, adoptions, and stillbirths, integrate civil registration data with national identity and health information systems, enhance accessibility for citizens through digital and local government service centers, and strengthen the role of the National Population Commission as the central authority for civil registration and vital statistics. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the passage of this bill will bring numerous national benefits, including accurate demographic data for planning, health, education, and social welfare programs, improved identity management and linkage with the national identification number, enhanced security and migration control, as all citizens and residents will have verifiable records, support for maternal and childbirth policies through accurate birth and death monitoring, ease of doing business, as verifiable documents will be available online. Some of the key innovations introduced in this bill include establishment of an electronic civil registration and vital statistics system, ECRVS, provision for digital certification of births and deaths, mandatory registration of all vital events within stipulated time frames, and recognition of electronic records as legally valid documents. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in a 21st century data-driven world, the ability of a nation to accurately account for every birth and death within its borders is a sign of effective governance. This bill, therefore, represents a bold and progressive step toward digital transformation in civil registration, ensuring that no Nigerian is left unrecorded or unaccounted for from birth to death. I therefore urge my distinguished colleagues to support the speedy passage of this bill, which was brought at the behest of the National Population Commission to use digital systems to carry out their functions, to enable Nigeria to establish a modern electronic and reliable civil registration and vital statistics system that will enhance national planning, security, and development. I thank you very much, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill to go for second reading. Thank you.
Mr. President, my name is Dr. Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State, northeastern Nigeria. Mr. President, and the immediate past chairman of the Population Committee, reading through this bill and listening to the very warm, precise delivery by Senator Ume, it gives me an opportunity to say this is long overdue. It also makes me sad that this law is just coming to the floor of the parliament after a very long time. The civil registration, Mr. President, is a global thing. Every developed nation that you visited, at the touch of a button, will tell you the number of deaths recorded in a particular month, in a particular week, and in a particular day. Consequently, therefore, the registration from birth gives us an unfettered opportunity for those who claim citizenship. When you are born here, your parents were born here, it is clear that you are Nigerian. But today, we have found ourselves saddled in a very serious situation because of our size, because of our economic capacity. A lot of Africans come to Nigeria and within a very short time claim citizenship. And even though our foreign policy says Africa is a cornerpiece of Nigerian foreign policy, that does not give right to anybody to claim our citizenship without being vetted. So what addresses that problem, Mr. President, is making sure that people are registered at birth. Less than 20% of our general population now are registered at birth. And we're a population going up to 250 million. And yet we have found out this is not rightly done. And of course, if you look at all the developed countries, there is no way you develop without a data that gives you an idea how many people die in a year, how many people actually came into the world, into existence within a given time, how many old people, how many middle-aged people, how many young men, how many women, how many unmarried men, how many unmarried ladies. These are very essential for you to be able to develop a mechanism for development. And I think this bill becomes not only necessary, but imperative that this National Assembly must see it through. It is important when you go to countries, Mr. President, like Canada, as you are entering a city, there is a signboard that this city, these are the citizens, the number of citizens, the number of female, the number of male, the number of young men, the number of women, the number of young girls. This is clearly written in every Canadian city. Before we enter, you see it, because they have this data. So it is important for all of us to recognize the importance of this bill. It's better late than never, and I support this bill with all my heart, and I think our colleagues should support it. It's not about money. It's not something the population has no money, but it is important that we need to have a basis for putting money where it belongs. So I support this bill with all seriousness it deserves.
Yes, sir. Okay. Distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Dickett Blanc. I represent Plateau Central. Mr. President and my colleagues, I am here to support in its totality this bill moved by our elder and chairman of the Senate Committee on National Population and Civic Registration. Distinguished colleagues, I would like to stress on the importance of childbirth and death. Childbirth registration and death. Childbirth registration helps to give identity to a child. It helps to also allow a child to enjoy his privileges, such as age for voting, age whether to go for NYC or not, age for employment, adolescent age, a time you can be enrolled in school, So the importance of knowing a date of birth of a child cannot be overemphasized. If we don't do this, people at time T go for affidavit to suit whatever they are looking for. But if it is compulsory that at birth, every child must be registered, it helps to give a true identity for a child. And it helps the child to have privileges for all the advantages he may get as a result of his age. It helps government to plan for primary health care. It helps government to plan even for education. Sir, debt is also very important. It is when you have a registration of a debt of a person that you begin to work for the privilege of the person that has passed away. The death certificate also helps you to know the reason for death. And therefore, as a country, Nigeria should not be left behind without having this done compulsorily. I support this bill, sir. And I would wish that the National Assembly should have a rethink on the privileges of the National Population Commission. The National Population Commission is a universal set, even for INEC, because the INEC uses a subset of a population of a universal set. And therefore, nothing should be too much for us to ensure that demography, data of age, birth age, death rate, and then gender is not compulsorily kept. I support this bill, and I pray that this bill should be given accelerated attention. I thank you, sir.
This is 1 minute. Get into your motion. You still want to speak? The chance of getting your motion through might be difficult. Okay, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Draw your attention to the fact, sir, that I did brought a bill on Nigeria Data Bank before you in this Senate. And if that had been attended to, a lot of issues related to data collection in development of our economy would have been well taken care of. And this bill respect specific to death and birth registration is just one aspect of that data science. And I just want to say that with all my colleagues have said, I also lend my view. I only wanted to direct your attention to the fact that a bill is still pending on data science, Nigeria Data Bank, before this 10th Assembly, this 10th Senate, just to take initial notice. Thank you, sir.
Mr. President of the Senate, my distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator Jide Ipinshagba, representing the good people of Ondo North Senatorial District. I want to support this bill 100% based on the importance of this bill. Number one, there is no way we can have a thorough and 100% planning for budget if you don't have accurate or near accurate population means. Because it's one of the parameters in which we can work on our budget when we are doing forecasting for budget. So it is very necessary we have knowledge of what the population is. The numbers of female, the number of male, the numbers of youth, they are very, very necessary when we are making this consideration in preparation of our budget and national planning. And again, we have people dying or that have already died for several years, and they are still collecting money from the government. It's because of the inaccuracy of knowledge of population that we have in place. So with this, we can also see that if we have ways and means of getting what our population is at a particular time, the death rate, the birth rate, we all have them. It's going to be an easy thing for us. So with this, I want to put my weight and support this bill that is raised by my colleague. Thank you very much.
Thank you. An act to repeal the births, deaths, and so on Compulsory Registration Act cap B9-LFN 2004 and to enact the Compulsory Civil Registration 2025 to provide for electronic civil registration system and for other related matters 2025 SB 913 second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on National Identity and National Population to report back within 4 weeks. The Leader of the Senate.
To present the lead debates for concurrence from House of Representatives. This bill is sponsored by the Senate Leader, Senator Bamidele Michael Okpeyemi, Ekiti Central. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on these important bills from House of Representatives for the concurrence of the Senate. Number one, Nigerian Police Force Pension Board Establishment Bill 2025 HB 979. This bill seeks to establish Nigerian Police Force Pension Board charged with responsibility of administering the pension scheme for the personnel of the force and exempt the force from application of contributive pension scheme under the Pensions Reform Act 2014. Number two, Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Bill 2025 HB 378. This bill seeks to repeal the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Repeal and Enactment Act number 12 of 2010 and enact the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Act 2024. Confers criminal jurisdiction on area courts in the Federal Capital Territory in addition to its existing jurisdiction over civil matters in which parties are subject to the jurisdiction of the court to the extent set out in the establishment warrant and make provision for the application of Penal Code Act, Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2025, and any other written law which the court may be authorized to enforce in accordance with provision of this bill. Mr. President, respected colleagues, these bills are straightforward and have gone through necessary legislative process in the House of Representatives. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of this bill as we refer them to Committee of Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. Thank you, Mr. President.
I represent Borno North Senatorial District. With regard to the first arm of this bill under consideration, what the bill essentially seeks to do is to exempt the Nigerian Police Force from the Contributory Pension Scheme Act of 2014. Mr. President, what is good for the goose is equally good for the gender. Members of the armed forces were exempted from this contributory pension scheme. And therefore, what this bill seeks to do is to also extend the same gesture to the Nigerian police force to be exempted from the contributory pension schemes, because they are also a very important part of our security architecture. Then with regard to the second bill that tends to confer criminal jurisdiction on area courts, is equally good and germane, because area courts nowadays are being presided over by lawyers, trained lawyers. Therefore, conferring them with criminal jurisdiction would not be verbose or would not be an error, because they are well learned and well grounded in law, and therefore competent to administer criminal jurisdiction. Against this backdrop, I support the second reading of these two bills. Thank you.
Mr. President,
for the Act to establish Nigerian Police Force Pension Board charged with the responsibility of administering the pension scheme for the personnel of the force and exempt the force from the application of the contributory pension scheme under the Pension Reform Act 2014 and for related matters 2025, second reading taken. A bill for an act to repeal the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Cost Repeal and Enactment Act 2010 and enact the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Court Act to, among other things, expand the jurisdiction of the area courts to entertain both civil and criminal matters, and for related matters 2025, HB 378, second reading taken. The Leader of the Senate, Area Council, Bill 2025, HB 378. Those in favor that clauses 1 to 10 all stand, pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 11 to 20 to 30 to 40 all stand, pass of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that clauses 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, and 52 all stand parts of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor that the explanatory memorandum on page 20, non-title on page 21, all stand parts of the bill. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I stand to move a
report. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the Nigerian Police Pension Board establishing Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Number of clauses 1 to 34 as recommended. Interpretation, clauses 35 as recommended. Short title, clauses 36 as recommended. Short schedules 1 to 2 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Non-title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate and the Committee of the Whole considered the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Cost Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Number of clauses 1 to 51 as recommended. Interpretation, clause 52 as recommended. Repeal, clause 50, repeal, clause 53 as recommended. Short title, clause 54 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Long title as recommended. It is a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. Senate.
Pension Board charged with the responsibility of administering the pension scheme for the personnel of the force are exempt the force from the application of the contributory pension scheme under the Pension Reform Act 2014 and for the March 2025, HB 979, third reading. Taken and passed. Just 1 minute, 1 minute. A bill for the Act to repeal the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Cost Repeal and Enactment Act 2010 and enact the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Court Act to, among other things, expand the jurisdiction of the area courts to entertain both civil and criminal matters, and for related matters 2025, HB 378, third reading taken and passed. The leader of the Senate.
Your Excellency, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Jimo Folorunso Ibrahim. Thank you, Mr. President. I start to move the motion for achieving fair and balanced infrastructure development expansion route, specifically Akure-Ore roads repairs to be inclusive of Akpoti-Uduaghan, Igbekoda, Unity roads. The Senate notes that roads construction, repairs, design, and reconstruction are vital to any national economic development, particularly where traffic volume has increased significantly in support of commercial activities. Nigeria classifies roads as national importance, designed major roads as federal, state, or local government roads to ensure clear responsibility for maintenance. Also note that Akure-Ore road repairs, officially designed as Project C number 6509 and coded EPG 1219017, are federal government initiative supervised by Federal Ministry of Works and Housing with a total appropriation of over 30 billion, with the same amount allocated in the 2023 fiscal years. The project is ongoing and forms part of Nigeria's commitment to the United Nations-supported Sustainable Development SDGs goals, which align with the World Bank and IMF policies aimed at eradicating poverty in the year 2030. Further notes that while the federal government ongoing intervention on major highways are commendable, it is critical to capture and address concerns of key stakeholders affected by road conditions in the oil-producing areas. Aware that Ondo State is an oil-producing state, contributing 7% of Nigeria's crude oil revenue, with the major oil production communities located in Ondo South Senatorial District. The primary area routes of the region of Ore, Akpoti-Uduaghan, Igbekoda Federal Route, which is directly linked to the ongoing project number CR6509, and account for 95% of the economic relevance of the corridor, yet remain largely unattended to. Also aware that sustainable engagement is vital in government decision-making, especially where the collective interest of communities coincides. The Ore, Akpoti-Uduaghan, Igbekoda route serve as a unity road, linking ongoing oil-producing community across the district and enabling shared economic and social benefits. Further note that protecting and strengthening the unity of community with common interests remain a national responsibility. The Federal Ministry of Works and Housing can deepen public trust and support and ensure equitable distributions of federal infrastructural projects, particularly in economic strategic region. Recall that communities across Ondo South Senatorial District has historical coexistent peacefully and are committed to preserving their shared heritage and collective identity. Mr. Senate President, recognize the communal attention may arise when government policies and infrastructure appear to favor some communities over the other. It is the responsibility of the Senate to ensure fairness, equity, and national security. Oil-producing communities must benefit from resources derived from their land, and exclusion could create feeling of marginalization, especially when the community resources appear to be used to develop other areas. Concludes that excluding Ore, Okitupa, Igbekoda Road from the ongoing federal government repairs effectively overlooked the only federal highway serving the oil community zone in the area, thereby marginalizing more than 2 million residents, including 1.5 million registered voters in Ondo South Senatorial District. In the interest of justice, equity, and national unity, it is important that the condor be included in the ongoing work. Only one prayer. Accordingly, aware. Urge the federal government, Federal Ministry of Works to incorporate Ore, Okitupa, Igbekoda Federal Road in the ongoing federal government repairs on the Akure Ore Road under project C number 6509. I so much respectively, Mr. Senate President.
Senator Ashiru from Kwara South. Though I'm from Kwara South, I'm very, very conversant with Ondo State, the geography of Ondo State, and in particular, this axis we are talking about. We have been very unfair to this
where you executed several contracts for the Ondo State government.
Your Excellency, the whole nation as a whole, we have been very, very unfair to people of Igbokoda axis for so many reasons. If you are looking for a peaceful community in the whole of Southwest states, there's no community that is as peaceful as Igbokoda people. If you are looking for highly resource area in Ondo State, we should remember that beyond the oil we are talking about, there's abundant bitumen that we have not even tapped. This motion is very, very straightforward. And for the purpose of equity and fairness, I am moving that we should accede to the prayer in this motion. I so move.
Now I turn to the former leaders. Senator.
My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. President, the only reason why democracy is a democracy is the presence of a legislature, is the presence of a parliament. And the only reason why a parliament is a parliament is the presence of members elected to come to the parliament to represent their people. So in a nutshell, at every given time, Mr. President, when a senator raises up to discuss the problem of his constituency. That particular senator should be supported 100% because fundamentally, originally, that's why that senator is seated here. So when a senator speaks about people, whether you are aware of that problem or not, whether you have been to that domain or not, it is incumbent upon all of us to support a particular senator who brings the interests of his people to the fore. The Ekiti-Pupa Road, I've been on that road for over a decade, precisely in 2017 and 2019. And it gives me a very gloomy perspective of Nigeria's problem as a whole. Because this is an area that was correctly stated is an oil-producing area. And about 7% of the crude of Nigeria comes from that part of Nigeria. And yet, for one reason or the other, roads like that becomes impassable. The people of that area becomes hopeless. They become helpless. The only reason why people hope raises is when a member from that particular community or another member that notices that kind of injustice brought up these issues. Having said that, let me commend Professor Jimo for rightly crying loud and clear about the suffering of his people. And basically, that's why we come here, to speak for people, because not everybody will have the opportunity of coming here. So it is a representation. However, it is important now to say, apart from the federal government, that the prayer specifically targeted, we must encourage Senator Jimo to also key into the NDDC funding. He must also call the attention of his state government. He must also call the attention of his local government. Why did I say so that? Why did I say that? Because more often than not, I have seen states who do just parallel roads in anticipation of repayment. So it is important that this kind of attention should not only be targeted, even though it's a federal road, which is really ascertained, confirmed it's a federal road, but what is the state government doing? What is the NDDC doing? What is the local government doing in making sure that even the peeling of potholes, they cannot wait for federal government only, considering the challenges that we have as a nation, whereby this attention, the federal government attention is called in 36 states of Abuja. So it's important, Mr. President, that we key into this and support this prayer, but also ask the senator, guide the senator to also key in on